Hello and welcome to a new series of Radio with Pictures, where we simply say, here are the women. And the women in this episode that you'll get to meet are Regina Rakadikadi. Hi, Regina.
Hello, Sharon.
Regina is a correspondent with FemLINK Pacific. You assist us in convening our Women's Leaders Network meetings here in the Central Division. We're also joined by Amra Wati. Hi, Amra.
Fine. Well,
You're well? Good. Now, 90% of the market vendors in Lambasa are women, is that right? And you are a member of the Market Vendors Association. You're the vice president?
No, I'm the committee member.
You're a committee member of the Market Vendors Association. We have Nanisea Vakauni Tambo of the Songasonga Vakamarama Itoke No Sorry, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Nanisea, about the amazing work you're doing in mobilizing, not just for the No Sorry village, but also for the Tailevu. You're doing some amazing work, yes?
Yes.
Great. And last but not least, joining us from the Koronombu Women's Fellowship in Ba, we have Vaneeta Vucci. How are you, Vani?
I'm fine, thank you, Sharon.
Okay, as we make this program, our country is in recovery mode. We're going through, obviously, social, economic rehabilitation, but we're also looking at the devastating impact of Tropical Cyclone Winston. And through our Women's Weather Watch program, we've been talking to you and other women across Fiji about just what has happened. What have we learned? What have we experienced? Not just in 2016, but if we look back at the impact of many hurricanes, cyclones, floods that we've gone through. But Vani, let's talk about Tropical Cyclone Winston. Koronumbu is a distance away from Ba town. You don't have, the roads aren't fully tar sealed. So what happened in your community that weekend?
It was a devastating event that took place. The wind was very intensive, and compared to the floods, the last floods and cyclones that we have, this is one of the most devastating ones. Sharon.
Were you following, tracking the weather reports? Were you able to understand when Winston, you know, we initially were told it was going to head towards the Central Division, but by Saturday we were suddenly told it's shifting and it's coming around towards your area. Did you know about that, and how did you prepare?
Yes, Sharon. I was actually in Suva that weekend. I was in Suva and hearing about the intensity of the cyclone, and it was Category 5 cyclone. I managed to ask around while I was in Suva. Then I went to attend my son's inter-house in RKS. I managed to ask around to the teachers. I was able to get information on how intensity the hurricane was, and I made an effort to hurry back home to help my family prepare for that cyclone.
So, despite knowing the intensity, you made an effort to get back
Yes.
home into Ba.
Yes,
Okay.
that was on a Saturday.
And we know from reports that, you know, Ba has been without water, electricity. What were the immediate effects that you saw on the Sunday?
On the Sunday, one of the major effects that I saw, families going without homes. You know, their houses were being blown out by the cyclone, and also their food stock that they had kept. I think they did not prepare well, because they might have thought that it was just like any other cyclone that happened, but this one took us the whole Friday afternoon till Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. till Sunday morning. So it was. So
you were feeling the effect for more than 24 hours. Thank you so much, Vani. Nanisea, you live in Nosori village, and it's very close also to the Rewa River. So you're almost always on flood alert. When you think about the impact of Winston, but other natural disasters we've experienced as a country, what do you see as the lessons learned in terms of particularly preparedness?
Okay, with my experience, 1993 Kina, the experience that I have at that time, I was lucky enough to be with the Fiji Red Cross Society, and I was part of the relieving officers that goes out in that Kina. But with Winston, I can understand how people feel on Sunday morning. You know, the need that they really need was not there for them. I can understand that because I do work in an organization that do those kind of work. Seems to be the first person to arrive at the scene of this kind of disaster. So I really understand, and I really feel it myself with the area that I was staying in. All the consumption of food, especially uto, that we are looking at, that we're going to consume for 3 to 4 months, is already gone into
So
the
food
ground.
crops destroyed for the families. Coming to you in terms of food crops, Amra, the Lambasa market is very close to the river. So what was the warning? What is the alert you get in the market to know this is the time to move?
Past hurricanes, flooding, we came to know that we should be alert in this one because most of our goods were destroyed in 2009 in Kenya because the flood was very high there. All the market stuffs were destroyed, all was wet, rice, everything was wet, and all the, just like all our utensils were lost in the
So
sea.
everything that you rely on to earn a living has been destroyed at the market. And as you're saying, Nanise, all the produce
Were
for
destroyed.
family, it's all been destroyed. So you're really going to be, you need
Affected.
to be part of
Yeah.
rebuilding. And how are you going to get your produce now?
We have to just do the backyard gardening so that we can do our products faster, depending on the farmers. If we're going to buy from farmers, it will be very high prices. It will affect our stall fees because our stall fees is very high in
So
Lambaza.
we should expect, as the consumers, those of us who go to the market, to understand there'll be limited produce
Yeah.
and there's the cost. We should anticipate a rise in cost. Coming to you, Regina, we were very lucky in the Central Division, and you live in Gawia. What was the preparedness like for you and your community?
Well, my past experiences from the previous cyclones, I thought Kina was like the worst that I had come across. But then looking at Winston, and then lucky there were like a few hours of power on that I had to access with the Women's Weather Watch, that I got to understand that Winston is traveling at this kilometers and what
this
category
speed,
at
yeah.
this speed, and what category it was. For the informal settlement that I come from, it is prone to flooding, and Gawia is a very badly, when it floods, it badly hits.
You've had some recent floods, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you've kept recovering from these local flooding, and now you're also recovering from the impact of Winston. Thank you all so much for talking about your experiences. After the break, we have a discussion. The women will talk about what can we do in terms of national recovery and long-term rehabilitation. Stay watching. Welcome back to Radio with Pictures. We've been talking about the Women's Weather Watch campaign of FemLINK Pacific and sharing our experiences with Nanise, Regina, Vani and Amra about what we've experienced both in Tropical Cyclone Winston, but also in, you mentioned Cyclone Kina as the most devastating one you can recall. But I want us to now think about a point that Amra raised, and I just want to share with you, because we've been doing some work with market vendors, since 2001, but also more recently with the UN Women Markets for Change program. And this is what Maria Tambor-Levu of the Bulileka Women's Mothers Club, in Madhawata has said. Market vendors are seeing an increase in the cost of the market, just being a vendor. As women, our priority is the cost of food, more bills, transportation, and now the table cost is increased. So that's the reality, right, Amra, of market vendors like yourself. You have to think about all those little costs when you sell, yes? When you sell at the market, you have to take into account table fees. you have to take into account what have you paid to buy the vegetables from the farmers. And you said before the break, you know, everything has been devastated. Food, you know, crops have been devastated. So how do you see recovery? How can we make sure that women like you at the market can continue to earn a living that you need to for your families?
For me, just I have to do the backyard gardening, and for us, just we are collecting $10 a week. We can use that money to buy some vegetables from the farmers, from in the place where it's not destroyed, but we have to buy in high prices.
So the prices
Yeah,
are going to
really
get
high.
high. So in terms of the National Development Plan, what do we need to do then so that women like yourselves who work in the market are not burdened by these high prices? What would you like to see a focus on in terms of development priorities?
For development priority, I'm thinking that we should have farm in somewhere so that we can, most of the widow ladies, most of them are the widows in the market. So we can take out some of our time to go and plant the vegetables there, just like on Sundays. It's for us, the widows can get the money from there.
So you'd like to see a program where, you know, widows in the communities are supported to access land, to be able to undertake agriculture, so crops are produced for your home as well as to sell? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Nanise, I mean, listening to Amra and the fact that you've also, you know, said that food gardens have been destroyed, you know, we don't have the uto we expected for the next 3 to 4 months. What would you see as that kind of food security program that can ensure food's on the table and also available for those who need to sell and buy?
Yes, for myself, I come from a village that we have access to land plant. And I would go back and we as a woman to combine together and do planting on those spaces that is empty in the village.
What's the support you need from agriculture?
Okay, the support from agriculture that we need is seedlings and advice, so that they can advise us on the quick crops that we're going to do, especially vegetable, and maybe the 3 months root crop that we can...
Like Kumala?
Yes.
Kumala grows within
Yes,
3 months.
3 months.
What's the traditional knowledge? You're members of the Songa Bakamarama. It has a wealth of wisdom, you know, from our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers' time. What is the knowledge you're using to be able to plan gardening and food production?
Okay, with the disaster, as the hurricane that we just gone through, I think they should promote, to go back to the Songa Bakamarama and promote the preserving of food. And the first thing we should know, when is the disaster months every year? Before that disaster month, what we are doing as the Songa Bakamarama in the community to do to prevent less of food to go on the table for our family, what we're going to do to preserve them, how we're going to preserve them. During disaster, if the water fall on the ground, so we have to prepare a lovo to lovo all those water and keep it for how many days, so maybe 1 or 2 weeks consumption.
Because a lot of the time we get told, make sure you've got dry and tinned food.
Yes.
But we're not being told, go and make your lovo. So do you think the information for preparedness should really come back to traditional?
Traditional old ways. And before disaster, to save the cassava, you go and cut the branches, because the shaking of the whole branch of the cassava will spoil the cassava under the... And the traditional way too, they keep a mure, because they used to plant yams. And they keep their seedling for the yams inside that mure. Why can't they do that again? And plant yams, because yams stay longer. And then as you restore that or store that yam and keep the part of the yam on the top, don't cut it. Leave it in that special house for your consumption during this kind of disaster.
Thank you so much, Nanise. Vani, listening to Nanise, do you think these are some of the things that you could apply in the Koronumbu community and other communities?
Yes, yes, Sharon.
Are you doing any of that?
Yes. Anybody talking about Kornumbu will know that Kornumbu is a cane farming area, agricultural farming area, and women there live on the vegetables they plant and sell in the market. So those are the things that were damaged during the cyclone season, and those were some of the income generating projects for the women in Kornumbu. That would be, I'm with Nanise, with going back to the olden. We had cut down cassava plants so that the.
So you had done
yes, we did that, and so that the cassava would be preserved. And if we hadn't cut down all the cassava plants, then it would have been uprooted. So also the cane fields were been badly damaged. So those are some of the income generating for the farmers in Kornumbu.
So obviously we need to put a huge priority, would you agree, on agriculture? Yes? After the break, we're going to come back and hear more about women's wisdom and women's solutions on Radio with Pictures. Welcome back to Radio with Pictures, where we say, here are the women. Here are the women who have intensive experience when it comes to organizing at the community level, who have immense knowledge and continue to demonstrate resilience in our country. I want to come back to you, Nanise. We were talking in the last segment about food preservation as a key disaster preparedness strategy, because we know that we're all seeing it. We went to the market on Saturday right after Winston, and it was like sad. It's going to get sadder. So what could we be doing in terms of, I want to come back to this traditional knowledge in terms of a long-term strategy as well.
There's another root crop that you don't really find it in the market nowadays. They call it Sandalo nitana. This is it's hard, and it can be preserved for a long time. And there's another, it's something like andalo, but it's...
does it grow wild, or how does it grow?
You can plant it.
And is it a normal sized
Yeah,
andalo?
like andalo. That one too can be a very good after disaster. You know, or if you plant it, you can also cut the whole tree. You know, to preserve that ndalo nitana.
And does it have like leaves like the taro leaf?
You can also eat the leaves like the taro leaf.
So these are some of the things that we need to be thinking about in terms of agriculture. Is what should we be planting? Root crops that we don't just give us carbohydrates or starch, but also the protein and the vegetables. Amra, you know, we're hearing from our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers' time. What did you learn from your nani, your dadi? You know, what are some of the things that we could also be doing in terms of food preservation?
Just like us, we plant rice. We plant rice, and when we harvest the rice, we dry and we put it for long. Just put for about 1 year or so more. And about urdi, we preserve that.
That's the dal.
Yeah, that's the dal. And just like mango, we make some chutney and we put it inside the house.
And it's a good fruit as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
Fruits. And just like dry fish, we make kadwaru at home and we keep it. Just if for a long time, just like we have the goat. Before, in older days, we don't have the freeze. What we do, we cut in small pieces the goat and we dry it in the sun. We can keep it for 1 year like that.
Okay. So Regina, what are you hearing as you hear of this wisdom from you know, Nanise, Amra, and even Vani? What should we be talking about now in sort of modern Fiji?
Well, now as I see, these preservations of food are like dying away, and I can recall when, you know, during my time as I was growing up, my grandparents used to do the preservations of food, but then now I don't see it being practiced back in the community or in the rural areas. And as a young woman, I think it should be, these kind of practices should be practiced again in the community.
Okay,
Yeah.
so coming back to you, Vani, in terms of women's solutions, how are you organizing at the community level? What do you do as an organization or as a club to share this information, to ensure that women are being supported to talk about these issues? Are you able to raise these issues in your settlement community meetings?
Yes, we are a women's fellowship group, which consists of so many other religions. Yes, and these are some of the things we are doing right now. We are just empowering women, encouraging women, and working together. We call it Solsolevaki. We go fishing together. We go and catch kite together, and we plant together. To help each other grow from where we are right now, while waiting for some assistance to come by. So those are some of the things. Women in Kornumbu, even though we belong to many multiracial groups, it feels like we are one family, and we're helping each other very much.
Fantastic. Amra, the Market Vendors Association in Lambasa, 90% are women. And through the Markets for Change program of UN Women, you come together, you organize. What do you see women's solutions being? How are women making a difference? You're not just selling at the market, but you've also contributed to some very important developments.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have the double story there. We have the accommodation for the rural ladies to come and stay there. If any hurricanes such like that, we can go up and stay there. And we have the movement for the ladies is now improving in the market. So by learning some more workplace from the market vendors and the association, and how can we help each other in the market? It's very fast now.
So what would you like to see in terms of the kinds of programs or activities that you could also be doing as the Vendors Association? How can market vendors, women in particular, be supported more?
By more workshops in the market, and just like the workshop, and the people can learn more, because most of the ladies are not educated, but in this way we can explain what we did in the workshop in Hindi, because most of them are not educated, they don't understand what that said in English. From as a committee, I can spread the message to all the other ladies in the market.
And when we think about the workshops, what are the kinds of training programs
Just
that
like
you need?
financial and developing the income in the market. How can we plant vegetables? Just myself, I'm an experienced lady because I'm a widow. I don't have any support from anywhere, so I can do whatever I can make my family to go up.
But despite all of what you're doing, we're still underrepresented. You're not in the advisory committees. You're not in local governance. Nanise, what is the difference? I mean, not what is the difference, but what needs to change so that women are in these formal decision-making structures? We've got a 30% minimum target by government.
We should have more women in advisory councils, you know, to advise women into the rural areas on what they have to bring themselves up and to be strong and support themselves. Like her, she is a widow and she is doing a good work for her and the family and trying to get other women to upgrade their living.
So one thing is to support women's leadership, but what is the message that men also need to be hearing?
Okay, the men, for men, as we all believe in gender equality, we should be equal. We should be equal, and coming from one family, as a husband and wife, these two should discuss on how to run the house, how to buy this, what to buy, and to stop all those disagreement in the family that is going on. I think we should be equal on our decision making.
So it starts in the home,
Yes.
but it must also be in the community
Yes.
structures. Fani?
I think the mindset of men should change. while looking at a woman. And also women, you must know that you are unique. You have talents. Everybody has a talent, and we have it in all different aspects of life. So if mindsets of women, of men change, and women will be empowered more, and it's not because of education. You may reach Form 7, but you don't have the talent and the eager to, we women have the eagerness to do more, and I think giving a chance to women to be part of the 30% or 50% participation in the community, and from there Sanati Kina and nation as a whole, I think it will make a difference to this country.
30% should be met, Regina?
Yes, I think, yes, not I think, but yes, it should be met, Sharon.
And what do we need, what does your generation of women, the younger generation, how can you be working better with younger men? Very quickly.
Include ourselves in all decision-making levels, in all decision-making levels.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. All the time. 30%, we've got to meet that target. That's what we have to say in this episode of Radio with Pictures. Join us again the next time. Minako.